As always, today's episode of the Band Directors Bistro is proudly sponsored by ironsmusic.com.
For music educators on the go, this is the Band Directors Bistro.
Hi, I'm Mark,
And I'm John.
and we'd like to welcome you to the Band Directors Bistro.
Welcome, everybody.
Today's episode of the Bistro is going to be all about maximizing your home studio for virtual teaching. While we're getting your favorite table ready, John is going to tell you what we have on the menu for you tonight.
Oh, yeah. As always, our chefs just continue to come up with amazing things. Our appetizer today, Sentient Species Salad. Mark and I are going to hype on all the new Star Trek coming our way here real soon. 25 weeks in a row of new Star Trek.
Oh, I can't wait.
Our main
Can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Our main course, Velvety, Veal, Vermicelli. Yum, yum. And we're going to riff a bit. Mark and I are going to talk about basically how you can maximize your home studio. Things you might need, things you haven't thought about, whatever it might be, to help make your virtual teaching experience more effective for you and your students. Finally, for dessert, major mango mojito meringue.
Right, and ladies and
Can you
gentlemen,
imagine that?
It looks
That sounds
your
great.
table
But we got a great
is
top 10
ready
list today for you.
right this way. John, the bistro is popping tonight. A good festive mood, and I think
Well, it's a nice summer evening.
I think
probably pleasant weather.
everybody is just as excited about the next 24 weeks of Star Trek as you and I.
Well,
because you and I, John,
I think
are real trekkers.
we are.
We're
true
trekkers.
But before we get into Trek, I think part of the excitement is also coming from the fact, and I got to give a shout out to this. Earlier this afternoon at 2:48 p.m., astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley splashed down safely in the Gulf of Mexico.
Welcome back, Bob.
On their spacecraft Endeavour.
Welcome
back, Bob and Doug.
Doug,
We're so glad you made it back
absolutely.
safely. And I think that's worth celebration right there. That's not science fiction. That's science fact. That's happening for real. Private industry launching Americans into space on American rockets. What a joyous occasion.
You know, and they're
It was
back
all successful.
safe and sound. Their number one priority was safety, and they succeeded.
Absolutely.
They succeeded with flying colors. Both those guys are back home, and it just is. I saw a video on the news the other day with drones flying on. It was a computer animation of drones flying on the surface of Mars, and
Well, that's reality because the new Mars mission they just launched,
yeah.
I mean, it's already on its way to Mars. It's got a drone on board
It's
already.
so cool.
This is reality.
So
yeah.
cool. So they were showing what was going to be happening when it got there, and
Right.
this thing, the capabilities now are just unbelievable. John, let's talk about Star Trek. And
Yeah, let's move on. Science fiction to science fact to science fiction and into the future.
that's right. There is some amazing programming already out, and then there's some amazing programming that is about to come out. Let's start,
Right.
John, with some of the staples that have been out for a little while. And why don't we start with one that is going to be starting season 3 very soon. And as you
That's
know, I need to catch up. I call myself a trekker, and I have not yet. Well, it's because of the CBS All Access issue, which ladies and gentlemen, I have them all. I just don't have CBS All Access. I have everything else. So John has been helping me in terms of Picard, which I've seen all of Picard, but I've yet to see
Discovery. And season 3 will be coming up. It will be coming up mid-October. October 15th will be the premiere of season 3. And the interesting thing about Discovery, and what I'm going to say doesn't really give away anything from the first 2 seasons. But what's interesting with season 3 is they're going to be taking Star Trek into a time that has never been portrayed in any series yet. In other words, they're going to be moving into the 31st century. Wow. Through events that have already happened in season 2, I won't talk about that, they end up in the 31st century. And so that allows the writers basically to have a clean, fresh palette, introducing all new alien species, new storylines, new ideas, without getting in the way of any of the established canon of any previous series. So it gives them such an open book now to create amazing new stories.
So we've got Star Trek Discovery and the aforementioned, and John and I have mentioned this show before because it truly is, I believe it's an award winner already, but Star Trek Picard, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, oh, such a good show, especially if you were a fan of Star Trek The Next Generation. If you were a fan of that show,
absolutely,
you will love Star Trek Picard. I highly recommend it. And that's already out, season 1.
But it's a given. It's not a question mark. It's already been confirmed we're having season 2 and probably season 3 of Picard as well. That's a kind of a well-known secret, you might say. But even before, it's going to be great. But now before Discovery starts October 15th, we've got another brand new Star Trek show that starts
completely new
in 5 days. Starts in 5 days on August 6th. Okay.
Wow.
And this is going to be groundbreaking
in
because
4
it's
days
the first
for our audience. 4 days for our
4 days. 4
episodes
days.
Drop on Monday.
August 6th.
That's right.
And so we're looking at a groundbreaking new series because it's going to be the first comedy-based Star Trek series.
And not only that,
something that
it's going to be the first.
It's going to be animated
series as well. So
first primetime animated.
Yeah.
We had the animated series in 73 and 74 for 2 seasons, but this is now a whole different ballgame.
Right.
And it's called, Mark, what's it called?
It's called Lower Decks. And it is going to be following the ensigns and the janitors of the Star Trek crews.
Who does waste reclamation, those types of jobs.
Right. I mean, if you think about how big a ship like the Enterprise is, the older Enterprise, the
original Enterprise had 430 people.
That's right.
Enterprise D, which is Picard's Enterprise, had about 1,000 people.
That's right. So
that's a small city. That's a small city.
A small city, but we, as the audience members, have really only gotten to know the top 12, 15 main characters, and there are hundreds.
Your command characters.
That's right. There are hundreds below decks, right, on the lower decks, and now we're going to see
many that do the more menial jobs.
And the animation, it looks like it's kind of in the style of Rick and Morty, which is really great because it's got kind of an established kind of feel already, and it just looks hilarious, which is something that I think Star Trek can go for. I mean, Star Trek has always been funny. You go all the way back to the Trouble with Tribbles,
You've always had
right?
humorous moments.
Go back to the Trouble with Tribbles and some of the great Star Trek the Next Generation episodes that were, maybe on the holodeck that were just hilarious. And so here, I think they're just kind of embracing that because Star Trek oftentimes is, I think, criticized, maybe rightly so, for being a little too serious of itself, in comparison to the most well-known comparison, which John and I both love, the Star Wars universe. But I think this is a great time for Star Trek to really take off and blossom and go into these different directions. And one of the final things we're going to talk about before we, I think our main course is going to be here any second now. So let's quickly dive into the last little tidbit here, and that is a new series devoted and targeted towards a younger generation of Trekker, and that is a show that's in development right now called Star Trek Prodigy. And Star Trek Prodigy is going to be brought to you by the same people that brought Ninjago to you. So any parents out there of young children, you will definitely recognize Ninjago. It's actually a really good series, and Legoland has a very major component of their theme park devoted to Ninjago. And yeah, so I'm super excited that not only are we kind of going in the comedy direction, and we're going super far into the future with Discovery, and we got a lot of great nostalgia with Picard, but we're also going to be kind of touching the younger generation with Star Trek Prodigy as well.
I just find it amazing that 54 years on, that Star Trek is still alive and is popular, if not more popular than ever. I just find that astonishing.
I think...
And it's a wonderful thing.
I think Gene Roddenberry would be proud. I really do. I really do.
I hope so. I think he would.
Well, John, it looks like the Vermicelli Veal, the Velvety Vermicelli Veal has arrived, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is yummy.
It looks yummy.
It's so tender. That's why it was so tender. The chef said we should call this something like a tenderized veal. And when I tasted it, I said, oh, this is melting in my mouth. This is so velvety. And
oh, yeah.
Right there, John. Velvety veal.
It worked. Velvety veal. It just, it flows off the tongue.
And again, we don't want to call it velvety veal spaghetti. Why would we do that when we have vermicelli?
It's vermicelli.
Right there for the taking. So we did it. Velvety veal with vermicelli. Ladies and gentlemen, John and I, one of these days, we are going to have, one of these days very soon, I hope, we're going to have some Band Directors Bistro merchandise available for you so that you can have a coffee mug or maybe a broken dish with some Band Directors Bistro logos on it. And another thing I think that we have to have now, John, is a cookbook.
Vermicelli?
No, a cookbook. With all of our wonderful recipes.
Cookbook. All right.
All of our wonderful recipes
yes.
and our wonderful descriptions. So, not that you and I would be able to write the cookbook, but we could definitely taste test everything in it for sure. But we digress.
Game.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main course tonight is all about how to set up your home office space to maximize your teaching so that your students can maximize their learning. And I think one of the very first things we should talk about is kind of something that John and I talk about when we're doing this podcast. And what's one of the very first things we do, John?
I mean, you have to think about two basic elements when you're teaching virtually. One is the quality of your video. The other is the quality of your audio.
That's right.
And so you have to consider both. And how do you produce quality video or even acceptable video and audio? Because that's how you interface with your students. You're going to be talking to them, but you're going to be listening to what they're doing and how they play their parts and they're practicing and all of those things. So you need to consider those two basic elements, the quality of video, the quality of audio. So how do we achieve that? That's the big question now.
One of the key things that you should consider when you're setting up your video is your space. And not just your space, but your lighting. And I'll give you a few examples of some choices that I've made here in my office that allow for me to have as optimal a lighting that I can have. So I will turn off my normal lighting rig that I normally have on, and I'll turn on my overhead light that would normally be on. And I'll turn this light off. So this is a choice that can be made, right? And you can see it's not horrible, but one of the things that is a problem is the light that's coming from my fan light here is coming down, and that's kind of washing me out. It's creating shadows, and it's kind of creating, even though the light is overhead, it's kind of creating a dark filming environment. So what I've done is I've got two smaller lamps. And these are lamps that are you would be finding next to your dresser, and that's actually where this one was located, in my bedroom. Relocated to the office, and I turn this guy on, and I turn this guy on, which is one that's identical to it, and then I turn this light off, and then I make sure that I have my computer screen not on a bright white screen like this. See that? I make sure that it's on kind of a neutral screen. I've actually got a ring light on a screen, and that looks like this. And so you can see the subtle difference, but it's gonna make a huge difference in the quality of what your students see. So having some light coming in front of you is going to be really beneficial for you to be seen. Try to avoid the down light. John, I know that's one thing we talk about before we record, right? Is make sure we get the right lighting so that we can be seen. And that's your teaching.
What you're doing there is entirely relevant, and it works great. There's also more low-tech ways to do it. And from my side of things, because of where we are geographically, for me right now, it's in the middle of the afternoon. So for me, I simply open up a curtain that allows natural sunlight in, and I get all the light that I need without having to use any other lighting sources. Now, at night, obviously what Mark is doing is going to be the way to go. And it all depends on what time of day you're actually interfacing with your students. If your office has a window that can let in natural light and you do it during the day, maybe that's all you need to do is open up a curtain.
And natural light is the best light. So if you can open up that curtain and get that light on you, not the kind of light where you see that big bright white face on one side of your face, but where you're getting that nice soft glow, that is the best light that you can get. And sometimes just adjusting the curtains a little bit, opening and letting a little bit of light through here and there will make all the difference in the world. Let's talk about the next component.
And as you can see with my natural light,
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, as you can see, my natural light, it brings out the beautiful shiny head. And so you just, and you need sunglasses sometimes for that, yes. So, but hey, let's move on.
So aside from the video, and John and I are both recording our video on Surface Pros. John is recording his on a Surface Pro 3, and I am recording mine on a Surface Pro 4. So this is the quality that you can see with those two setups. Surface Pro 3.
This is a great
Surface
example of, it's a great example of what we call 720p as far as just the quality of your imagery, okay? 720 pixels per inch, all right?
Not
a higher quality camera,
horrible, right?
Will give you, not horrible at all, but you can get higher quality. And we all know 1080p. You hear that a lot, all right? It's just a higher quality. Right. That's 1080 pixels per inch, which
Correct.
is a 30% increase in quality over 720p.
That's right. And John and I, having just now gotten into the video game, we're pretty satisfied with our audio, and now we are looking to both upgrade our video quality. One of the options that we're looking at is the Brio, which is a 1080p webcam that costs about $200. And another option that we're looking at is a Canon M50, which is a mirrorless camera, and that one runs about $700. But the quality there is definitely worth it, and the things you can do with that camera are a lot. But this is
in mind
not
the
what
Canon
you
is-
need for teaching. You don't need those things.
No.
What you need is a webcam, and if you've got one, you're set, right? If you can get
if
a
you've got
better
a laptop
quality
with
one,
a webcam,
right?
yeah,
That's even better.
it depends on right. And keep in mind that Canon that Mark talked about, great camera, but it's a DSLR. It's actually a still frame camera that can also be used for video, things of that nature, and that's becoming quite popular. I see a lot of professional photographers where I'm at that have DSLRs, but they're filming video, and they've got it on those arms that are all automated now. It'll track you automatically, without having or you can move it with a little. It's all remote controlled. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
some of that technology, for those of you that are more tech savvy and you want to say, I want to get up and move around and I want the camera to follow me. Well, that technology is there. It's called tracking technology. And I know I've seen it on cell phone tracking technology, but I believe they also have other versions for other kinds of camera setups as well. So check that out.
Right.
So as we were talking about with our cameras here, not the best quality, but as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, not the worst quality either. And then finally, John, let's talk about our audio setup, because I think this is probably going to be the number one thing, especially as music educators, right? We want to make sure that we're being heard, and we want to make sure that if we're playing a musical example into a microphone, that's going to be way better than into a laptop built-in microphone. So I would highly recommend going out and buying something like this. This is a condenser mic. There are two basic kinds of microphones. For those who don't know, there are condenser microphones and there are dynamic microphones. John will explain the difference in less than 30 seconds.
One needs additional power to make it operate, one does not. All right, the condenser microphone requires something called phantom power that can be derived from a mixing board, an audio interface. Some condenser microphones can be plugged in direct via USB, and the USB will provide that additional power. Dynamic microphones don't need additional power. That's your basic main difference.
And depending on your setup at home, many microphones that you buy are going to have the standard microphone three-prong plugs. And if that's the kind of mic you have, and you're wondering how do I use this microphone for my Zoom meetings or my lessons with my students, then you're going to need one key piece of equipment. John, that piece of equipment is
an audio interface. And by the way, if you're reading reviews or doing research, you won't read anything that says three-prong plug, even though both Mark and I use that term. The official term is actually known as an XLR plug.
Correct. XLR, and that would be your standard mic cable plug would be called an XLR.
Correct.
The microphone that I am using right now is called a Moano microphone. I got it online for $60, and it is a condenser microphone that doesn't require an audio interface because it has a USB connection right from the bottom and goes right into my Surface Pro here. So the Surface Pro is providing the phantom power that this microphone needs to run, and you're hearing the quality at $60. So, John,
it's an amazing microphone, actually.
Yeah. John,
it really is a great quality.
You spent about $40 on your microphone, and you're getting
more
pretty decent quality as well.
This is almost the same as yours. My first microphone just didn't do the job. I won't mention brands or anything, but it just didn't do the job. This one here has been wonderful for me. I do use an audio interface. I've had one for a while as part of my music studio when I work in Sibelius. I record in real time from a keyboard, from a piano-style keyboard, and that has to go through an audio interface. And my audio interface has a microphone plug as well. So I just plug this right into it. The audio interface provides phantom power, and there you go. Now, one of the things we also need to mention is we're talking hardware. You'll also need to make sure you have the requisite software needed to interface, i.e. audio recording software, and in our case for video, we use Zoom.
And many of you are saying, what are you talking about recording? I'm just going to be live Zooming or in some sort of live meeting with my students. Isn't my laptop mic good enough for that? It could be, but this is going to provide your students with that clear level of audio quality that they're kind of used to.
A much higher quality level
when
yes.
they're watching their videos and their content. So if you were not using a microphone like this, it would sound I don't want to say unprofessional, but this also kind of does up your professional game a little bit, because even though John and I are both recording this into a DAW, in this case Audacity, and going to mix it and make it sound great for you, I will tell you, when we do our Vanguard recordings, we don't mix those down. And so if you watch any of our Vanguard recordings, you'll hear what these microphones sound like straight through Zoom, and I think they have a much, much higher quality sound than if you just had AirPods in, or
Agreed.
Or like
Agreed.
A wired set of earphones. This microphone is going to just up your game, and especially if your colleagues are in your meetings and you start talking, and all of a sudden everyone goes, "Wow, who is that? What sound is that? How do you sound like that?" And this is one of those things. So 3 things to consider. 2 major things: video and audio. But along with that video, we want to really consider environment and lighting so that the students can see you. So yeah, if you have any other tips out there for band directors about setting up your virtual workspace to maximize your teaching, then feel free to drop us a line on our Facebook page, the Band Directors Bistro.
Absolutely.
And we would love to hear your ideas, and who knows, we might feature them in a future episode.
And also think about this. We're all band directors. We started off and we still are musicians. Having this microphone allows you to record yourself at home, save on your own computer. If you want to go ahead and record some of your best work as a trumpet player or clarinet player, whatever it is, you have that capability now if you have a better microphone.
That's right.
So you can record all of your excellent playing for posterity purposes.
That's right. That's right. Oh, bah!
Where I'm at, we would say, ay-ya.
Ya.
In my neck of the woods.
Well,
ay-ya.
Oy, oy vey, right? Oy vey.
Oh, yeah, well. Mark, I'm full. I've had enough vermicelli, but I got enough room for a bit of dessert. Let's go for it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm telling you, man. Oh.
Today we've got another musical themed top 10 list for you, and today, brought to you by the magical world of the worldwide interwebs, we are bringing to you the top 10 musical baby names. That's right, the top 10.
Plus a few extras.
Musical baby names. And before we get to the top 10, we've got 4 honorable mentions here. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to guess along. What do you think the top 10 musical baby names are? Well, here's a few that did not make the top 10. The first one is...
But they're worthy of mention.
Ah, yes. First one is Riff. And I like Riff because
when you're a jet,
Yeah,
you're a jet
right.
all the way. Sorry.
Boo-doo.
Old memories.
Sorry.
By the way, hey, I digress, but I got to say this. I didn't know, but it's due out in December around Christmas time.
Oh.
Steven Spielberg directing the remake of West
Side
Side Story. Can you believe that? Spielberg? Oh, my Lord.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
It's gonna be great, man.
It's
Oh yeah.
gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've seen little bits.
Can't wait.
I've seen
I
little
can't
bits
wait.
of footage online that have leaked, and it's just it looks so
I
good.
can't wait.
The guy from Baby Driver, Baby Driver.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
plays Tony, and he looks great. And one of the other tidbits about this is the actress that played Anita, Academy Award winning Rita Moreno. She's the only Academy Award winner from that as an individual from that production. And she is going.
And they're bringing her back not as Anita, another different character.
Of course, not
but
Anita.
She's going to be in the movie.
Of course,
not Anita.
But she's in the show, and I think that is just so cool.
Right.
All right, getting back to our
awesome.
top 10 musical names. So this is not our top 10. This is outside. So
these are still honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Next one up is Reed. Reed. You know, my wife's last name, her maiden name is Reed, so it works.
Well, there's Reed Richards,
That's
Mr.
right.
Fantastic Four.
Don't forget.
Reed Richards, okay?
Don't forget Reed Richardson, a wonderful drill writer. Anyway,
there you go.
Another one is...
Shout out to Reed.
Another one is Brio. As in...
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Allegra con Brio.
No, it sounds like a cheese to me. It's like, I like some Brio today with some crackers.
Can I have
just being honest,
Can I have
okay?
a charcuterie plate? Don't forget my Brio.
A grilled Brio cheese sandwich. I don't know. Brio. I could not name a kid Brio. I'm sorry.
All right, and here's our last honorable mention. And this one, I don't get it. So here it is. Cord.
Can you imagine that? It's like my child's kind of dissonant.
Are you feeling augmented today?
But then again, exactly, my child is quite augmented.
That's right. Oh,
again, I couldn't do
You're
that.
such a deceptive Cadence today, right? Like, what chord are you?
Oh.
Are you a 5 chord? Are you a dominant chord?
The kid would go through their whole life with jokes like that, Oh, you're inverted.
What inversion are you? Oh, John. All right. Let's get to our top 10. Our top 10. And ladies and gentlemen, for authentic purposes,
I don't know these, so Mark's going to take this one.
I have not shared these with John. So, number 10.
No, I'm going to be surprised. Okay,
number 10. Lyric.
Oh,
it's a little. I like lyrical lyric. Okay, so
it's a little new agey.
Okay,
it's a little new agey.
Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Number 9. Harper.
Harper. I can live with that. It's got some dignity to it.
Harper.
All right, I can live with that.
One who plays the harp, right? You're a harper, I guess.
You're a harper, or I'm harping on you again.
Number 8.
Harper.
Number 8. I think number 8 is going to be familiar to a lot of people. Number 8, Viola. Beautiful name.
Now, would you pronounce it Viola or would you pronounce it Viola?
Now that's going to be up to
spelling.
It's going to be up to your parents.
Same spelling.
Actually, it'd be up to you whenever you got old enough to decide. And then you would change it however anyone pronounces it. If you called me Viola, I would say no, it's Viola. And if you said Viola, I'd say no, it's Viola. That's just the way I am. All right, number 7. This is another very popular name, Harmony.
I'm surprised that's so low down on the list because that does seem it's a very natural name for that would be more female oriented. I would gather, but it's a very pleasant name to give a female child.
Who doesn't want to live in harmony, right? I mean,
I've actually had friends who are named Harmony.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
And number 6, I have had a couple of these names in my classrooms, and that is Aria.
I've never had an Aria.
Never had an Aria? I've had a couple.
Not in my classes, no.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? We've made it to the top 5 musical baby names.
Top 5. Let's see.
I have to just say that I named my daughter one of the top 5 musical baby names. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I feel a little bit of pride towards it, but I'm also a little ashamed. I don't know if I'm lack of originality, but here we go.
Well, no, because you named your daughter before you read this top 10 list, okay?
That is true. That is true. Number 5, Melody.
Melody is a very common, not common, but I've had melodies, and
Yeah.
I think we've all had melodies in our classes at one time or another.
That's right.
And the ones I've had have been very pleasant young ladies and great members, great students.
Melody's a little tough on the plural possessive. A little bit like irons, right? Like that's Mr. Irons' stapler, right? That's Melody's
yeah.
pencil. You know, just one of those. I don't think people think about that.
Melody, melodies, melody, melodies. Not that hard.
Number 4, Sonata.
I don't buy that one.
Sonata. The Latin
I
sonor, to sound. So
to me, I'm thinking Frank Sonata. Okay, so.
see, and I'm thinking of the Hyundai Sonata, which was a pretty good car back in the day.
A great car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it still is.
Yeah.
Still being produced.
Yeah. My mom owned a Sonata. All
Great,
right.
yeah.
Moving on to the top 3. Here we are. Number 3, Cadence. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm smiling because, yes, indeed, I have
That's
named
your daughter's name.
my daughter Cadence. Cadence Elizabeth Irons.
However, we all call her Katie.
We do.
Which is a very apropos name. So
do.
she has that option of going Cadence as a formal name, or her nickname or shortened name is Katie.
I will put one word of caution for those potential parents thinking about the name Cadence. You are relegating your daughter to a lifetime of mispronunciation, because everyone will pronounce her name Candace, and you just have to teach her to accept this, and maybe even just like that's your second name. Don't even bother correcting people. But anyway,
I was imagining though, what if you had a daughter named Cadence who plays drum?
yeah,
You know,
right, very cool.
you know, drum cadence.
Very cool.
That would be kind of, yeah, it could be cool.
All right, we're on to down to 2 left, John. Here we go. This one I have some questions about. Number 2, Piper.
I don't get that.
Piper. Currently standing at 88. Number 88 in all-time names right now. All-time names, not just baby names. 88. And
I'm thinking of the airplane.
this is Piper. I think of Pan, the guy who was playing all those pipes. Piper. He's a piper. That's what he does. And I also think of the Scottish bagpipers, right? Like they're pipers. I'm a piper.
The first thing that pops in my head is the Piper Cub, which is one of the most popular private airplanes ever made in history.
Do you think people will mispronounce that as either pepper or I don't know, Pipper instead of Piper? Maybe not.
Maybe, probably not.
All right. Well, let's go on to our number
one.
John, have you guessed it yet? Because you haven't heard this name yet. Here it is. Allegra.
Go.
Allegra.
Oh.
Allegra.
That's just too new age for me.
Not Allegro. No. Allegra.
I know. Allegra.
Yes.
It sounds like some medicine for hemorrhoids or something.
Well, it is very similar to a branded medication out right now, and that's unfortunate. Those that know Italian will know that Allegro is the male form of the word, and Allegra is the female version of the form. And in music, we mostly use the male form of a lot of those Italian words. So allegro, allegra. You know, I think it'd be kind of interesting to have a brother and sister if you had like Allegra and then like Andante. But she was the slow one.
Oh. Oh.
I didn't see it.
I'm gonna take a Fermata on that.
Oh, where's Andante? Come on. All right, let's go through the ones we didn't say, and those are alto,
Okay.
alto, forte, major, coda, solo, rhythm, jazz, lyric. Oh no, lyric was number 10. So jazz is number 11. But yeah, I think the one out of all those is kind of weirdest is
I just
alto.
think I would probably
Alto. It kind of sounds like
a dog's
sounds like
name.
Balto or Belto, right? That's a
Yeah, I would name my dog that. Hey, Alto, come here, boy. You know, that fits pretty good.
I wonder if there's a family out there somewhere that has alto, tenor, bari. Like alto, tenor, bari.
Oh.
Sopranos on the way.
Ooh. Oh. Or bass.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we know just how busy you are as music educators, and we are so thankful that you had the time to stop by the bistro today. Once again, my name is Mark.
And I'm John.
And this has been the Band Directors Bistro. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
It's always great to see you.
We'll see you
See you
next
soon.
week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
For music educators on the go, this is the Band Directors Bistro.